Is that Cody's best promo ever in AEW? Hello and welcome to Always Elite. Today we're going to review AEW Dynamite episode number 10 from Champaign, Illinois. Now before we get to the review, we'll talk about Cody's interview slash shoot promo. He comes out and talks about how MJF kicked him in the balls at Full Gear. Says his scars on his body are from failure, and it reminds him of that. He also talks about his wife cutting off other women's hair. He also talks about how he got attacked last week by the Butcher, the whatever the other guys' names are, and the Bunny. And, the Butcher, the Baker, the Candlestick Maker, whatever you want to call it. He says that MJF will never wrestle him. Well, he tries to get him to come out. He says, what will it take? He says, you want my watch? It's a limited edition watch. You want my shoes? I give you my expensive shoes. You want $50K in cash? Brings out a suitcase with cash in it and actually shows it and gives a $100 bill to a fan, which I thought was very interesting. And then he proceeds to call MJF a NWO version of Chris Jericho. He also says that MJF also does the worst Crossroads ever. He says now they're botching it on 2 channels, which is a direct shot at WWE. I don't remember who exactly does that over there, but they do it there too. Which I think is awesome. He still doesn't know what it will take for MJF to wrestle him, but we'll find out, I'm sure, shortly. Probably next week or so. Or maybe at the next pay-per-view, which is Bash at the Beach. Now, let's get into the full review in about 7 minutes. Right away, it starts off really cool. The Young Bucks and Dustin versus the Inner Circle of Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz. This match was freaking awesome. Great tag team and triple team moves. Dustin just gets better and better as he gets older, man. The stuff he does that he wasn't allowed to do elsewhere. Man, he's so good. He can still do a Canadian Destroyer at his age. I think that's pretty awesome. The match was all Young Bucks and Dustin. Pretty much there was almost no offense from the Inner Circle at all. There was a double drop kick and a tombstone piledriver to Santana and Ortiz. And they get the pin and the win. So the Young Bucks and Dustin win in very, very dominant fashion there. Next was Trent versus Phoenix, which again was a very good match alone. Set by itself. These two are known for tag team, but they're also very good at their singles competition as well. It's a good start. Every time Phoenix tries to combo moves, Trent either counters or moves out of the way so that Phoenix can't complete whatever he does. Eventually, Phoenix puts it together, gets a Mexican muscle buster and a pin for the W. And we talked about the Cody thing. That was into that. Next up was another vignette to join the Dark Order. These vignettes are getting better and better as you go along. Then we got a match between Nyla Rose versus Leva Bates. Nyla makes quick work of Leva. The match maybe lasted 2 minutes. And she also took out Peter Avalon in the process. It's just a squash match. Shanna comes out, but to no avail. She gets squashed as well very quickly. Next is probably one of the better segments of the night, other than Cody's promo, was Chris Jericho. He comes out. He calls the crowd losers. Says he sold 12,000 bottles of his sparkling wine, which is true because it did sell out because I did check. That is very true. He also says he has to have one more match and defend his title one more time before the end of the year, which would be on December 18th. So he says he put together a list. Everybody in the crowd, says, ooh, do the standard get a cheap pop. He says, get out of 2016. Says it's no longer called the list. It's the Lexicon of Jericho, which I think is great. Starts calling out names on this lexicon. Calls out Moxley. Says he's not going to face any of these people. Moxley, Cody, Young Bucks, Moxley. He names Moxley like 8 times during this whole thing, which is a reference back to his WCW, where he does his 1,001 holds, armbar being like 900 of those holds. Says he's not going to face Hangman Page, Diamond Dallas Page, Scorpio Sky, Too Cold Scorpio, Michael Nakazawa, Kenny Omega, Darby Allin, Evil Uno, and he names off a few other celebrities and a few other fake ones, and it was hilarious. Then Lucha Express come down, and they say that you didn't mention us. However, Jericho says, I was getting to that. But then Luchasaurus says, you've never met a dinosaur that had a degree, which is kind of funny. Then calls Jungle Boy. Jericho calls Jungle Boy a piece of crap, except he used the other word, and won't last 10 minutes with him. Jungle Boy slaps Jericho and a fight breaks out. As soon as it gets not in Jericho's favor, Jericho runs away. I thought that was a pretty cool segment. Probably second best of the night, other than Cody's interview. Next we had Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. Pretty standard match for the women. It lasted through an ad break and was pretty boring. In the end, it was Shida. I'm sorry, it was Chris Statlander who gave Shida the Big Bang Theory, which is a cradle tombstone. Basically, it's just a pile driver with them tucked underneath. It's really weird. Chris pins the number 1 contender, which will change the rankings on Friday. Tomorrow, after this video goes live, so that it'll be tomorrow. Renee comes out and says her and Awesome Kong are part of the Nightmare Collective. She said it was an extension of the Nightmare family. She wanted Chris to join them to make theirs even stronger. And someone from the crowd says, I'll join. And they let this woman come in. And she pledges to them by giving up her hair. And they cut her hair off. And eventually they agree. At least for now, but who knows? Anybody knows who this woman is? The picture I'm going to show you. Please let me know in the comments, because I do not know who this is. Obviously, it's a wrestler, an independent wrestler that has come along. Next is Christopher Daniels versus Pentagon Jr. Remember, Pentagon Jr. injured Daniels in October. Sorry, I can't speak straight right now. So he's looking for some revenge. Pretty good match at the start, back and forth. No one had a clear advantage going into the first break. Pentagon comes out in control of the break. Pentagon keeps working on Daniel's back and neck, playing off his real-life injury. Which makes a lot of sense if you look at it. Makes a total sense. Daniels misses an Arabian moonsault to the outside and lands face first onto the ramp. It was either a miscue or it was planned to be that way, but just by looking at it, it looked like a miscue to me. Due to his injury, I don't think he's fully healed yet. Then Phoenix throws in the mic stand. Daniels picks it up. He was going to use it. Decided better, puts it down. The ref goes to throw it outside. Pentagon gives him a low blow and a package pile driver and gets the pin for the win. Pretty low for, I'm guessing those two are now heels. At least they're heels to CU. I don't know how this plays out. They're kind of tweeners to me. Next was a vignette for the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. There we go. There's the names. Ellie says they're there to cut the head off the snake, whoever the hell that is. I don't know who that is. The main event was Joey Janela versus Jon Moxley. Jon was up early on Joey going into the last commercial break. This match didn't last very long, maybe 9 minutes. Maybe. So, I don't know. Janela had a nice counter when Moxley went over top DDT. From the outside in the ring, from the inside in, and then Moxley gives him a top rope DDT onto the turnbuckle, which looked pretty nasty. Basically, the paradigm shift. That's what it looked like. And then he gives him another one in the ring, and he gets the pin 1, 2, 3. Then Jericho comes out through the crowd and stares a hole into Moxley, just like Moxley did to him the previous week. This is just going to lead to a huge match at some point. Because right now, I guess Moxley is ranked number 1 in the ranking system. And he's going to stay there because he had a win this week. Well, that's all the time I have for you today. Join me again in a few days with a review of New Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag League, I believe it is. That's what just happened. Until then, always be elite.